Kanawaya. My name's Richard Ashley Manitwabi, and I'll be your host for the 10th annual Seed Swap celebration. I'm so excited to see all of you that are viewing here in the studio and you at home. Chimigwech for coming. And I would also like to say that we have awakened the Debajehmujig Seed Bank.
Yes, Ani, I'm Daniel Reckley-Majaki. I will also be hosting this year's hybrid event. We have a great lineup of presenters, community, and garden updates, Nishnat Bad Moen, words of the day, and seed to food videos from our own company chefs.
And before we get started, I would like to invite Sunny Ozabana, our cultural educator from Debajehmujig Storytellers.
Ani Kinawea. I would just like to share with you a little bit of a history about this seed swap and how it all came into being. About a decade and a half ago or so, I was doing the foundation teachings. Whenever we get a new intake of students, we take them through what we call the foundation teachings. And we had Alicia Sidler here at that time, and she had her students with her. So we were going through the foundation teachings, and at this time they were starting to develop a little play. And we started to emphasize more on the 4 axes, which is planting, building, harvesting, and hunting. So when we started doing this, they started developing this idea, and from this was the birth of Thrive. And Thrive ended up becoming the garden, the Debajehmujig garden, which we carry on every year now. And from the birth of Thrive came the 6-foot project. And from the 6-foot project, it came into the seed swap. And it's been going on for a decade now, which is real good. And so that's kind of where it started. It all started with the foundation teachings and getting into Thrive. And that thanks to Alicia Sidler for that. And just one little thing about seeds, we have to keep in mind when we're handling seeds, what we are handling is life. And that's a life that Gitche Manitou has created. And we have to nurture these things. We have to take care of them, just like children. We have to take care of them, to nurture them, to bring them up. Because we want them to grow to be strong. We want them to grow to be healthy. Because in the end, they're going to nurture us as well. So with that, miigwech, and enjoy the seed swap. Naha, miigwech. Pamapi. And now I'd like to introduce the Wasnode Juniors to do their opening drum song.
Hello, hello.
Hi, we're Wasnode Juniors, and here's our song for you.
Miguel Sonny for the beautiful words to start our programming in a good way. And I also like to say Miguel to the Wasno Dead Juniors for an opening song. And I would like to say you guys can come chill out with me and Ashley here at the Creation Center. But do remember that we do have a 25 people limit here at our studio. And if you guys have any flu-like symptoms, we do ask you to stay home and continue watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you guys are watching from. So if you don't come out and chill out with me and Ashley.
And we have a great lineup of great friends coming up. A beautiful friend of mine, Anastasia from Island Gardener, and she also runs the Takama Seed Bank, will be presenting shortly.
Yes, and we'll be kicking into an interview that Ashley did with Chuck and Linda Wilson. They'll be talking about bean seeds, and they come from the Ice Lake Farms.
Enjoy.
Ani, hello everyone. Welcome to my presentation about the magic of seed exchange. My name is Anastasia. I run a gardening company here on Manitoulin Island called the Island Gardener. I'm very passionate about seeds, growing seeds, saving and passing them on to people who would grow them. I'm so happy to be able to talk about seed exchange and the importance of seed saving here with you. In my presentation today, I would like to briefly touch on the history of seed saving, importance of biodiversity, talk about a couple of seed saving world initiatives, and tell you about opportunities of exchanging seeds that we have here on Manitoulin Island. So, the concept of seed saving and exchanging is definitely not a new one. People have shared seeds for thousands of years. And seeds have always been what connected people to the land and culture. Possessing seeds was always considered to be an honor and cultivated respect in the communities. In many cultures, for example, women are those of the seed keepers and would meet to sell, exchange and barter seeds from each other. Seeds to save would always be collected from the strongest plants, then planted again to be shared with family and fellow farmers the following year. This way, genetic diversity and plant adaptations to local, sometimes adverse climate conditions would not be lost. Certain varieties are always sought out to withstand dry seasons, or on the contrary, to be planted if the wet season is predicted. As people moved on and traveled around the world, new varieties of seeds were introduced either to become a favorite or to be cross-pollinated with other cultivars to come up with a new, strong and locally adapted variety. Around the world, the practice of exchanging seeds dominated till about middle of 20th century. And of course, with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution, many people have moved to the cities, leaving farming behind. So, as a result, farming communities became very small and largely scattered around the country. In 1930s, right after the Great Depression, a couple of research stations in the United States have really gone forward with the creation of what's called hybrid seeds. Hybrid seeds are created using a controlled method of pollination by crossing two different specimens until certain trait is achieved. Hybrid seeds were quickly adopted by both farmers and gardeners because they have promised a higher yields than those of the open-pollinated varieties. The first generation of hybrid seeds, also known as F1, has lots of vigor and can withstand certain pests and diseases. The offspring, though, taken from that plant, becomes genetically unstable, has less vigor and not true to the type, and cannot be planted the following year to produce a harvest. Farmers and gardeners who use hybrid seeds must purchase new seeds every year, which possesses quite a disadvantage to open-pollinated seeds. By quickly becoming dependent on seed companies who were selling hybrid seeds, the tradition of preserving own seeds was almost forgotten, with the exception of few back-to-the-land communities, independent seed enthusiasts and collectors who used open-pollinated seeds and heirloom seeds in their gardens. The problem that we are facing now is that the plant genetic diversity is quickly disappearing. In the last century, we have lost more than 93% of all agricultural crops. There are about 200 plant species in the world that humans eat, but today farmers grow primarily 12 crops, out of which we mainly eat only 4. These are potatoes, corn, rice, and wheat. Traditionally, farmers would save the seeds, but now, due to hybridization and genetic engineering, most seed production is controlled by only a few giant corporations. Most of corn and soy seeds produced nowadays are genetically modified, which means their DNA structure have been altered. Farmers can no longer save seeds because companies have patents on seeds and do not permit their saving and distribution. So despite the food being a precious public resource, the seeds of food crops become an intellectual property. This fact should make us pay more attention to the subject and take action to prevent big corporations from owning food crop seeds. We can be inspired by the example of such individuals as Vandana Shiva. She is among the most inspiring and influential environmental and food security activists in the world. She is an Indian scholar, activist, environmentalist, and a global ambassador on a mission to save the seeds around the world. For her, the seed sovereignty is the farmer's right to breed and exchange diverse open-source seeds, which are not patented, not genetically modified, and not owned or controlled by giant seed corporations. In 1982, she has created Navdanya, a national movement in India to protect the diversity and integrity of living resources, and especially native seeds. The Navdanya initiative educates farmers on the benefits of diversified crops rather than accepting offers from the monoculture food producers. Navdanya established over 40 seed banks across India. They provide regional opportunities for diverse agriculture. Here in North America, such organizations as Seeds of Diversity in Canada and Seed Savers Exchange in the United States work on searching, preserving, and encouraging the cultivation of heirloom or old-fashioned and endangered varieties of food crops. Both have the largest non-governmental seed banks in the country. So a global movement to preserve and share seeds is certainly gaining momentum, and these are awesome news. People store seeds at the seed banks. They gather at the seed swaps, not just to share seeds, but to exchange knowledge and stories. They're preserving culture and biodiversity, one seed, one plant, and one person at a time. So how does seed exchange work? Seed exchanges are designed for gardening newbies or master gardeners. Seed exchange provide people with an opportunity to get seeds from other local growers and to share seeds from their own harvests. Most seed exchanges happen from late fall to early spring. This is the time of the year when gardeners start to think about what to grow next season. Sometimes they are also called seed swaps or seedy Saturdays. People usually are encouraged to bring only open-pollinated seeds and non-genetically modified seeds. Hybrid seeds are also not encouraged. Seed exchanges are usually very well organized with seed tables dedicated for certain food crops, flowers, tubers, medicinal plants, and sometimes even trees. Participants who would like to share their seeds have to mark them with a year, variety, place of cultivation, and sometimes stating an origin or a story of their seeds. People look at what is offered and take only what they need from the tables. If you don't have seeds to share at this time, don't be discouraged. You're most welcome to take seeds and put a small donation for other person's efforts in seed saving. Next year, though, save those few seeds from your garden and bring them to be exchanged or gifted. There are often lectures, educational film screenings, live music, local organic food, and a good atmosphere all around. As you can imagine, participating in seed swaps is a great way to learn about local seeds, build community around seed sharing, and show support for the seed sharing movement. Here on Manitoulin Island, seed exchanges have been popular over many years. One of the oldest one is at the Debajehmujig Creation Center in Manitowoc. This year we celebrate their 10th birthday and looking forward to their enthusiasm for seed sharing and saving for many years ahead. For the last 4 years, another seed exchange had been popping up. It's called Takuma Seed Exchange. And it's been popular, inviting people to bring and share seeds, gather to exchange knowledge. There are usually a half-a-day events that attract a big crowd of seed enthusiasts and gardeners. People bring plants, seeds, and exchange stories of their garden victories and mistakes. This year, I encourage you to make an effort and participate in the virtual seed swap here at Debaj. You'll be happy you did when you harvest the most beautiful fruits of your labors in the coming summer. I hope you have learned a little bit about seeds in this short presentation, the importance of cherishing them, saving them, and passing them on as gifts from the universe. Thank you so much for listening. Happy gardening. Bamapi. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Today we have a special guest here with us, Linda, and Linda's going to share um, some of her experience that she has with some beautiful seeds. So, Linda, you and Chuck started on growing indigenous or heirloom seeds or whatever you call them. You know those beans.
Yes, so Ani Bajo, hello everyone. I'm Linda Wilson. My husband Chuck and I, we've been in the market garden business for several years. We grow a beautiful market garden in Ice Lake. We have been gardening for most of our lives, but we became especially interested in heirloom, heritage beans about 10 years ago. Thank you, Chimagwich, to Ashley for inviting us to come here to talk to you about these beans today. We were first introduced to heirloom beans by Heather Toma. She gave us a bunch of black turtle beans that were grown here on Turtle Island hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And you may remember Heather and her partner Paul, who grew heritage grains here on Manitoulin. So these beans are dried beans. Some people call them heirloom beans. Some people call them heritage beans. Those are all just names for indigenous beans. And when I show you the beans and talk about them a little bit, you'll be able to identify some of the nations that created these beans, where they came from, because they are named after those nations, and some of them have been renamed.
So,
we love
what are
we
some,
love the okay, go ahead.
what are some varieties that you grow
So
of the beans?
we grow a variety of them. Now I want to change I'm going to switch my camera over so I can show you
Okay.
pictures here. So we grow quite a lovely variety of beans. We started out with the black beans, as I was telling you. So the big plump ones on I'm just going to point to there. Those are called Hopi beans, created by the Hopi First Nation. And then the smaller ones are Trail of Tears. And as you can imagine, they have quite a story too. So we started out with those, and then we managed to get a whole bunch more from friends, and Laura Shilliday, one of our friends, gave us a bunch. And and we got some from Salt Spring Seeds in British Columbia. And so these are the beans that we grow. So I'll just tell you a little bit about some of them.
Okay.
There's these ones right here are cranberry. These here are hidatsa, and these over are seneca. And all of those ones that I've just pointed out to you, those are pole beans. So they climb, and they grow up on, you support them on frames. And then the other beans that we grow these brown ones here. There's two different sorts here and here. They're Persnay, from the Persnay First Nation. And these over here are called Beka, B-E-K-A. They're very similar, but as you can see, the Persnay are plumper and bigger, and they grow way more prolifically. That means more seeds to a pod and more pods on a vine. These over here are the Adawa, and these right here are called, well, we call them, oh, here we've got Orca. You can see the Orca look a little bit like whales, so that's why they're called Orca. And then over here we've got Super Q. Now we call them Super Q, but they were really called Grandma Walters. And we figured if somebody could name a bean after their grandma, then we could name a bean after our grandson Quillen. So we call him Super Q, because Quillen is the best bean shucker in the world. And he's been shucking these beans since he was, well, as long as he could stand up. And he knows all of the beans and all of their varieties, and he loves them. So I figured it would be nice to name a bean after him.
Yeah, I grabbed a few off you. I believe that was maybe a year or two ago. So I
Yeah.
still have a few of those, the Super Q, you call them. So
Yeah.
I call them the Super Q too now.
Oh, good. He's
So
famous.
which beans are your favorite and why?
So my favorite ones are, but my all-time favorite, and I'm going to switch back again. My all-time favorite are these right here, the Adawa. You can see how beautiful and elegant they look. They just have a really beautiful look, but they also grow in really sleek, slivery, slender pods, and they just kind of slip right out of their pods when you're shucking them. So they grow really beautifully. They're very abundant. They taste delicious. And of all of the beans, they cook up really fast. Like they will cook up to tender in less than an hour, which is amazing for a dried bean. And they just have the most delicious flavor. So that's my favorite. My second favorite would be the black beans, of course. And as I told you, we've got two different kinds. They're really prolific. I prefer the Hopi because they're a bigger bean and they're very prolific, grow a lot of beans in a pod and lots of pods on a vine. And then my next favorite would be the corn beans. We found out from Kitty from Six Nations that those are actually corn beans. Some people call them Amish, but the reason that they use these beans here, they call them corn beans because they're the ones that are good for growing on the Three Sisters mounds because they have a nice light vine. They cling to the corn really well, and they don't weigh the corn down because they're so light. But they're a little smaller than the rest, as you can see. They're a much smaller bean, but they're also very prolific, so I really like them. So those are my three favorites.
So I know there's a lot of people watching and probably interested in these different varieties of beans also. And I know there's always new people that come and want to start growing. Can you share a little bit about the best growing conditions of beans?
So the main grower in our partnership is Chuck. So I'm going to turn you over to him. Talk about growing conditions.
Annie, hello. My name is Chuck Wilson. Like Linda, I've been gardening forever, most of my life. But I really got serious about growing food when I came to Manitoulin over 30 years ago. One thing I'd like to emphasize right off the bat is when you're doing this, start small. Don't get too ambitious at the start. If you grow half a dozen, a dozen plants of a couple of varieties, that's a good start. And if you save the beans from just one of the plants that you grow, you may have next year enough beans to grow, say, a 20-foot row. So you'll be on your way with a small start. So years ago, I read the book Buffalo Bird Woman's Garden, where I learned how to grow the traditional sisters, the corns and squash. I discovered there are many varieties of dried beans with different flavors and textures, and all of them are much better tasting than the supermarket beans in a can. So began my journey of discovery about dried beans. Some people are into video games or fishing, but one of my passions is beans, so go figure. Heirloom beans are of two varieties. One is the bush variety that does not have the climbing tendrils. They would be the same as the green beans that a lot of people grow, and they're grown in rows. Then there are the pole beans that have the climbing tendrils, and I'll explain a bit more about that. All beans are warm weather crops, so here on the island, we don't plant them until the soil is warmed up and the nighttime temperatures are consistently above 15 degrees Celsius and all danger of frost is past, of course. This is usually around mid-June. Now, beans set nitrogen, that is, they add nitrogen to the soil, so they don't require compost or nutrients to be added to the soil before you plant them. And in fact, they help improve the soil. They do well in just about any soil, from sandy loam to loam, or even in clay soils. But the one thing that they don't like is to be grown in constantly wet soil. So don't plant them in a wet part of your garden. Plant them about 3/4 of an inch deep, about 4 inches apart in rows 3 feet apart when you're planting them in rows. When first planted, as with most seeds, you need to keep them moist, but once they begin to grow, they only need watering in drought times. They're very tolerant of dry growing conditions. In fact, they like that best. We always plant our beans in hilled rows to begin with, and then once the plants begin to grow and they're about 9 inches tall, we hill them once, and then as they get bigger, we often hill them a second time. And then for additional support, we place stakes at 8-foot intervals along the rows on either side of the rows. And then we horizontally will tie twine to the stakes around the rows on each side. And this will provide additional support. We'll put them about halfway up the plant for additional support. And the reason we do this is that it helps them to stand upright so they're not resting on the soil, which can cause blight or rot, especially if the soil is wet. And additional note on that is avoid touching the plants after rainfall or in the morning when they're wet from dew, because this can cause disease problems as well. So it's really important as much as possible to keep those plants up off the soil surface to prevent any potential disease problems. Climbing beans can also be grown in rows with netting for the beans to put their tendrils in and climb, or they can be grown on stakes in a teepee sort of a configuration. Or, of course, they can be grown with corn in the Three Sisters fashion. Dried beans do require a bit of extra attention, but they're well worth the effort. We really enjoy them very much.
So, how do you know when they're ready to harvest?
The beans are ready to harvest when the seed pods are very dry and begun to turn brown. The pods will be crisp and begin to open up a little bit, with some of the beans maybe starting to spill out. But when this happens, it's time to harvest, which is here is usually around mid to late September and before the first frost. If there's an early frost and not all the pods have begun to dry, go ahead and harvest to save what you can, rather than have them hit with frost and have them all moved. But pods that are not fully filled out should not be saved for eating. So if you're pulling a plant that's early, and you say half the plant, the pods have the plump seeds in them, but others are not well developed, don't bother trying to dry and eat those undeveloped pods. We harvest the beans by pulling up the entire plant, roots and all, and then we bind a number of plants together with strong twine and hang them in a dry shaded area with good air circulation for a couple of weeks to dry further. In our case, we hang them in our drying shed or under a lean-to or something like that. Then we, when they're dry, we shuck them and store them in jars. Now, one thing to note on Manitoulin, it's often rainy around harvest time. We typically have those fall rains. So it's important to have the beans up right off the ground, as I mentioned, and keep an eye on your beans and try to harvest during sunny, dry weather. I mean, you have to go with what you've got, and sometimes you may have to actually harvest them when they're a bit damp. If you have to do it, but otherwise, preferably in sunny, dry weather. And you know the beans are dry and ready to store when they are rock hard. When you pinch them between your fingers, they're no longer spongy. If they need more drying, and the weather's getting cold, you can dry them on a screen indoors, or perhaps in a food dryer.
Wow. So what do you do when the beans are all dried and stored away?
So we're going to switch back over to me, because once the beans come into the house, then they're my responsibility.
Oh.
So as I mentioned about our grandson Quillen, he comes and he helps us shuck the beans, and we get them all ready for storage. So we store them in jars. This is a half quart jar, but by the end of our season, we have them in a great big jar. But this is kind of the end of our supply for this year. So we've been cooking them all fall and winter. And yeah, as you can see, I just take all of the seeds, all of the beans that we gather, and I put them together and cook them all together as well. Once in a while, if I want to make black bean muffins, I might sort out the black ones, that kind of thing. The ones that I have that I store for seed, I store in little jars like this. So these are the black turtle ones. Oops, you can see them. And so I put them in a little jar like this. So this is our seed jar, and we keep these for either sharing with other growers or for planting in our own garden come springtime. So some people will store their bean seeds in paper bags, and that's fine too. You just want to make sure that they're in a dark, dry area where they're not going to be, getting dusty or anything like that, because you're going to eat them. And then also I should mention that while we're shucking and sorting out our seeds, we select out our seed for the next year, because you have to remember that the bean becomes the seed for next year. It's quite viable to plant the beans as seed. So we select out our seed for size. So the biggest, plumpest ones, plus the best pods. And then we also select out for seed production. So the ones that grow the most in a pod and the most on the vine. And then we also pick out the fastest growing ones. So the ones that are ripe and ready to harvest first, those would become our seed ones, because they're the fastest growing. So this always assures, when we do this, this always assures us a better crop the following season. Oh, and by the way, the seeds are viable for up to 5 years. So you can store them and keep them for 5 years, and you can still plant them in that time frame. So.
Yeah, that's a long time, 5 years. Like, never know, you might get busy 1 year or misplace them, and hopefully you find them in 5 years and plant them
And you know
again.
they're ready. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, Chimigwech, Chuck and Linda, for sharing the great knowledge that you guys share. That's pretty incredible. Like Chuck was saying, like 30 years, and he's been saving these seeds for around 10 years, and like that's pretty awesome. And where are you located?
So we're located in Ice Lake. That's where our garden is. And oh, I just forgot to share something else. I wanted to tell a little bit about what I do with the beans besides plant them again. I cook them. So to prepare the beans for cooking, you have to rinse them first because they're still dusty and dirty from being in the garden. And it's important to note that beans contain protein and carbohydrates. That's the nutrient that we get from them. And both of those nutrients are heat tolerant, so they don't get destroyed when you cook them. That's why you can put beans in the oven and bake them for hours and hours, and the protein and the carbohydrates are still in the product. You know, you don't lose that nutrient. So what I do is I rinse them and then I soak them overnight, and then I drain out the soaking water, and that's not a waste. You can actually use that water to water your plants if you wish, but you don't lose any nutrient from there because the protein and the carbohydrates seep into the water very gently. But what you do lose a lot of is you lose a lot of the starchy carbs that cause gas. So your beans will be less gassy if you do that, if you drain off that water. We make things like maple syrup baked beans, black bean muffins and cake, using mashed beans or bean soup. I have a cookbook. I'll just flip over my camera here. So this is a cookbook that I use, Spilling the Beans. Oh. And it's by Julie Van Rosendahl and Sue Duncan. It's got some beautiful pictures in it. It's it's really well laid out, and it's got some delicious recipes in it. Our favorites are tacos or bean burritos. They're very good. So that's what we cook with. So was there something else that you had asked me, Ashley?
I'm thinking about cooking beans now. If you shared all that information.
You were asking where we were. So I also have our contact information, because if somebody would like some of these seeds, I could share a few of the seeds with you. So there's our phone number, our email, and who we are. And if you contact us, I know that you had said that if we drop off things at Debaj, people could pick them up there. But then if people are at this end of the island, it's probably more convenient for them to come and pick them up here. So we'll try to get some out to Debaj if people from that end of the island want some. Okay.
All right. Awesome, Linda and Chuck. It's always a pleasure to visit you, and probably maybe once a year, roughly.
Yeah,
you guys are on the other side of the island.
Time, right, Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate all the work that you're doing for community gardens, and to work with the community and the kids at school and all of that too. We appreciate all that work that you do as well. It's really, really very important for us to have our own gardens growing, isn't it?
Oh yes, and my children really love it, so I have them in the gardens every year.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Congratulations to Debajehmujig for the wonderful efforts that they put into assuring a seed swap here on the island. We really appreciate. We've been participating or been involved in it for many years ourselves. So we really appreciate the work that you're doing there. So awesome. Thank
congratulations
you.
On
and congratulations.
10 years. Keep for the next 40
How do you say congratulations in Anshabemawin?
I'm not quite sure. Shakaha is like, holy moly.
Shaka.
I thought that was holy crap.
Yeah, something like that. Or I call it holy moly.
Anyway, well, congratulations, Debaj. It's awesome. Take
All
care.
Take care.
We'll say
Me
goodbye
good.
now. Mama
Bye.
P.
Mama P. Awesome. Thank you guys very Ani, welcome back. My name's Richard Ashley Banatwabi, one of your hosts. Chimigwech Chakalinda for that beautiful presentation, and also Chimigwech to Anastasia. Great presentations on today, and we got more coming up. Just want to let you guys know that right now I'm at the Debajehmujig Seed Distribution Center here with Ray Fox. He has plenty of seed requests coming in, and he's trying to do his best that he can on sorting and organizing these seeds for you. So if you did want to request some seeds from the Debajehmujig Seed Bank, we have a request form that's on the Debajehmujig Seed Bank page on PDF. And then we also have a seed bank inventory PDF on the seed bank page. So after we're done our programming today, take a look at it. And if you're interested in some of these seeds or have other special requests, send me an email at amanatwabi@debaj.ca, and I'll hopefully be glad to find the seeds that you're looking for this year's growing season. So I'm going to take it back, we are going to take it back to Daniel.
Wow. Talking about those bean burritos really got me hungry. Well, we're going to talk about who's coming up next. We have Christian Bickle and Courtney Curick, and they're from the local food Manitoulin Nemojawin Tag Health Center. Sorry, fumbling my words here. And then we also have Annette Pelche-Flemon, and she's the Wikwemikong Agricultural Resource Coordinator. And then we have Jocelyn Babonkwe, and she's with the Wikwemikong Gitagon. So let's kick it over to them. Enjoy.
Food is life, and the local food Manitoulin movement is supporting people to harvest food from the forest, fields, and fresh water, and cultivate food sources at home and within the wider community. Do you have a passion for fresh, sustainable local food? You're not alone. The local food Manitoulin movement brings together people from across Manitoulin Island and beyond to share knowledge, experience, skills, and enthusiasm so we can all eat better and live better in a sustainable way.
I think it's important to empower local communities on Manitoulin because the rippling effects can be, and I think will be, absolutely astounding. Teaching people how to grow food, how to process food, even over the course of a couple of summers will continue for the rest of their lives, and they'll teach other people. It makes people healthier, makes people happier, brings people together, and just a lot more joy. Brings a lot more joy.
Our vision is unfolding now as elders and young people share knowledge that brings the freshest, most sustainable foods from Mother Earth to homes, tables, and families. But there's so much left to do. We've created more than 150 family gardens in backyards across the island, with 11 large community gardens that bring people together to grow and harvest food while also passing on a spirit of food sovereignty and self-reliance to the next generation. Working together and promoting a connection to the land and young people is so important. Local food is for everyone, and everyone is welcome to be a part of what's happening here. Do you want to connect to the movement? We're here to bring people together.
I just love to see the excitement around gardening and people hunting and fishing and gathering because they're getting their own food their own way, and that it's full self-autonomy. So yeah, it's really great, and I'm really excited for our future generations.
To make the local food Manitoulin vision a reality, we maintain a local food map and host teaching workshops with island experts on topics such as seed saving, cooking with herbs, sprouting, mushroom production, beekeeping, traditional Anishinaabe medicine, farm and permaculture tours, harvesting wild foods, and more. all with an emphasis on learning from our elders and the wisdom of their stories.
Having that seed to table connection is so important, and for that to happen at home with the family, with your siblings or with your grandparents or your aunties or uncles, I think that's just such a beautiful thing, and it really helps children learn right from the get-go how to connect with their food.
Local Food Manitoulin is certainly about eating better and more sustainably, but more than that, it's really about hope. Hope in the healing, life-giving power of fresh, locally grown foods produced with care and in harmony with the natural world. So come, Ambe, join us and be a part of Local Food Manitoulin. Good local food is something we should all enjoy together.
Ani, Kenawea. It's Kristen and Courtney from Local Food Manitoulin Debajehmujig Health Center. Thank you, Ashley and the Debajehmujig Storytellers, for inviting Local Food Manitoulin to be a part of this awesome event. Congratulations on 10 years of knowledge sharing and seed sharing and promoting sustainable food systems on Nindomanis. Local Food Manitoulin is growing, and we have some really exciting changes coming up. Food Manitoulin Advisory Committee has been meeting virtually roundtable to discuss the Local Food Manitoulin vision, mission, and values as we move forward coming years. This plan is intended to represent a shared vision and purpose and will be utilized during roundtable discussions, community engagement sessions, and partnership development.
Our mission has 3 streams. Embrace sustainable, community-driven systems is to support local food systems that are led by communities to ensure that food grown and harvested from the land and fresh water is consistently available in the most culturally relevant ways in all seasons. Advocate for food sovereignty, to empower individuals, families, and communities by creating space that encourages mindfulness around sourcing food and the impact it has on our way of life and holistic health. Scale up food access opportunities. Our goal is to provide sustainable food access programs that support people in coming together to share food and food-based knowledge within their wider community of Mindominis.
Guided by the following values: engagement, partnership, and mentorship, culturally relevant approaches to healing, and making decisions based on our impact 7 generations. In spring of 2020, Local Food Manitoulin launched the first mobile local food market on Mindominis. The team gathered at Mayanganack-Gijgaking NDOT Farming for Community project in Shagawinda with landowner Richard Lathwell. Over 4,000 pounds of food was distributed through our mobile markets, the Good Food Box program, and Harvest to Share. Local Food Manitoulin is looking for community input and feedback. We have created a mobile community food hub model that will increase reach and improve experience of our food and knowledge sharing programs for communities across Nindomanis. In partnership with the Northern Ontario Indigenous Food Sovereignty Collaborative, the planning phase will be completed by April 2021. The proposed design includes a facility featuring a commercial 4-bay garage, work and training space, a kitchen, equipment and food storage areas. The garage will store a company pickup truck and 3 enclosed cargo trailers that will serve specific purposes. The mobile market and food transportation truck. A mobile community kitchen. Mobile butchering shop called the Wiaslaj. Stay tuned on our social media pages, and on our website we host an events calendar for market dates and other upcoming events this season.
Thank you, Miigwech, for watching our video and hearing our information and exciting news that we have planned for the next 3 years. And I encourage everyone to get out this summer, get gardening, get your hands in the dirt, and we will always be here for support. And if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to just drop a comment, visit our website at localfoodmanitoulin.com. Chimiigwech, ahau, bama.
Ani, my name is Annette Pelche-Flamont, and I am the Wikwemkong Agricultural Resources Coordinator, and I work out of Wikwemkong, Ontario Works. Even though I ran a sole proprietorship business for 15 years, my heart has always been in agriculture. I grew up on a farm, and we raised and grew everything that we ate. To me, it's a simpler and more honest lifestyle, and I wanted to get back to my roots. So in the fall of 2019, I signed up for horticulture courses at the University of Guelph and obtained my horticulture certificate in the spring of 2020. I immediately obtained employment with Wikwemkong Ontario Works managing the gardening program. So it was a great opportunity to share what I had just learned, and the gardening program was successful, and we had a lot of first-time gardeners that actually came through and had great harvests. So in December of 2020, I received a new contract to manage the Wikwemkong Agricultural Resources Program, which is also run out of Wikwemkong Ontario Works. So the community is encouraging both urban and rural agricultural practices in the disciplines of horticulture and livestock production. So we're working to enable community members to take their food security into their own hands. Initiatives include continuing the gardening program activities, building community gardens, planting donation gardens for the local food bank, and assisting other programs in the development of their agricultural initiatives, including greenhouses and beef cattle operation. I just want to congratulate Debajehmujig on the 10th anniversary of their annual seed swap. It's great to see Debajehmujig supporting the local food system by providing a venue for people to share seeds, tell stories, and meet each other in a social setting. This year is a bit different because of the pandemic, and the event has moved to a virtual gathering. I know it won't be the same, but they are to be commended on their efforts to keep the tradition going during these trying times. I look forward to participating personally in next year's seed swap. Keep up the good work. Mibach.
Ani, my name is Jocelyn Debanque, and I am part of the Wikwemkong Girigan group. We are a local group here in Wikwemkong, supporting and promoting agriculture in our community. This year we have some exciting plans for our group, and one of the main ones being is that we're turning the Amukuk greenhouse into a seed starting greenhouse. So last year we were able to complete the greenhouse and plant the greenhouse. This year, we will be starting the seeds in the greenhouse. So every year, this year, we're going to be working with the greenhouse at the high school, who will be starting seeds. And when the seeds are maturing and are ready to be not yet planted outside, but in still a warm climate, they will be transported from the high school greenhouse to the Amukuk greenhouse. Community members are more than welcome, once the seeds have developed, to come to the Amukuk greenhouse and use some of the plants that have been grown there in their own local gardens. This year we are looking for volunteers for our Wikwemkong Girigan group. If you are interested in volunteering your time, we are more than welcome and open to new volunteers, and hope more of the younger people are wanting to participate as well. So some of the volunteer activities will include cleaning up the Amukuk greenhouse, cleaning up the main garden outside. It could also be helping with workshops throughout the summer, anything that helps and supports agriculture in our community. So previously, we did work and collaborate with other community organizations and participated in local events. So we used to do workshops on seed starting, creating seed bombs. We did a few workshops on bees and agriculture, and we want to get back into that this year again. A seed bomb is when you're mixing a portion of clay, sand, and soil, and you're mixing in flowers, or it doesn't have to be a flower, it could be a vegetable, into a patty, and you're able to take that patty, let it dry out, and plant it in the spring or summer. I would also like to congratulate Debajehmujig Theatre Group for their 10th year hosting the annual Seed Swap. Congratulations! I would just like to thank Ashley for inviting us to the 10th annual Debajehmujig Seed Swap. It's so nice to be part of this local group and be part of these local organizations who are promoting and supporting agriculture and food in our communities. I hope that this year brings everyone a lot of blessings and joy, and get gardening, have fun. I think this year we really need to have a lot of fun. See you guys this summer.
Ho, Chimigwech, Jocelyn, we had Annette on there, we had Kristen and Courtney. Oh my God, there's a lot of community gardens that are on Manitoulin Island. If you haven't seen a garden in your area, you could start one up. Anybody could start a garden up. It all starts with just getting your hands dirty and putting some seeds in the ground. That's how it all starts. Start small. That's what I learned so far today as one of the cool tips from Chuck in the past videos. And this is a great celebration. I'm so excited that it's already been 10 years. I feel 10 years older from saving seeds.
Yeah. So how does reaching 10 years make you feel, Ashley?
I feel a little older, but I also have all this knowledge from a lot of different people that have mentored through the 10 years of saving these natural seeds, and sharing their different stories about these seeds is, I think, one of the most important things, is sharing those beautiful stories. I know every year there's new stories that are created from one of these beautiful seeds.
Yes. And now we're going to get into our next group of videos, and that's our Seeds to Food videos with our company chefs, Samantha Brendan, Ray Fox, and Joanna Bertie. Yes, and we'll kick it over to them now. Enjoy.
Have you ever had a roasted radish? You gotta try this. It's so easy and so tasty. Preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Wash your radishes well. Remove any stems and straggly roots. Cut any huge ones in half. Throw them on a baking sheet. I like to use parchment paper for easy cleanup. Drizzle with olive oil and sprinkle with salt and pepper. Feel free to use your favorite seasonings here, but I like to keep it simple with just salt and pepper. Bake for 20 to 30 minutes, mixing them up every 10 minutes or so until nicely browned. Sometimes I do mine a little longer because I like them to be nice and crispy. Enjoy while they're warm. These roasted radishes are a little sweet, a little salty, and so succulent. And you know what the best thing is about radishes? They're so fast and easy to grow. You can plant radishes in the spring as soon as the soil warms up a little bit, and you can keep planting them until first frost. Plant them in loose soil, only half an inch under the soil. Keep the soil moist. Your radishes will germinate and pop up in only 5 to 7 days. 1 to 2 weeks after planting, you can thin out your row so the biggest plants will have more room to grow. This is also a good time to plant another row. If you plant more every 2 weeks, you can harvest and enjoy radishes all growing season. Keep watering and checking on your radishes, and about 4 weeks from planting, you'll have a whole row to harvest and enjoy.
Hey guys, my name's Ray Fox. let's make some seed cookies. All right, so first we're gonna want to get a pound of butter. You're gonna cut it in half, and that's gonna make 1 cup. 1 cup packed brown sugar. And then half a cup of white sugar. Eyeball half a cup there. 1 large egg. Then 1 large egg yolk. Just separate the yolk from the egg whites. 2 vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon. Put that on. Make sure it's all stuck in place. Then, now we'll get our dry ingredients. Grab a bowl. We're going to add 2 cups flour. One cup of large flake oats. Is that 1 cup? Now baking powder. You want to put 1 teaspoon baking powder. Just about a teaspoon. Salt. Got some cinnamon here, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Ooh, nutmeg. There we go. And you mix all that together. So I'll just put like a cup at first. Just slowly incorporate that, mix it in. Again, make sure you get the sides. It's all incorporated. So sometimes I add a little bit of cooking molasses to it, just to add a little bit more of a darker flavor. All right, now that it's all mixed, just scrape the side of your bowl here and go grab a cookie sheet with a parchment paper on it. If you want even cookies, I would suggest using a ice cream scoop. That way they're all the same size. Now what I like to do is use the back of a cup measuring cup, and just flatten them. And now we could add our seeds to them. So I like poppy seeds are really nice, and then sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and then pumpkin seeds. So you want to preheat your oven to about 350 or 325 and put them in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, here we go. Check it out. Seed cookies.
God, I feel so hungry now. I haven't ate lunch yet, but I'm still looking forward to those beautiful seed cookies that Ray Fox has created in that beautiful video.
Yes, yes. Oh, even the roasted radishes is something I was really looking forward to trying to at some
Yeah,
point. So
I'm
hopefully Sam could, bring some roasted radishes in for us one of these days. Sam?
I'm a trooper on eating radishes when they're that strong taste. I could handle it very, very well.
Yeah. So I don't even know if I could eat radishes, but you know what? I love to try it. And I guess we can kick into the next group of videos we have. We have the story of seed with Brian Pelche, and then we have the Debajehmujig word of the day with Jacob Wemiglas. So I guess we'll kick it over to them right now. Enjoy.
Ani, and get down to the beginning to go. Wash Keshin do them. Show you in the middle. My English name is Brian Pelche. I'm Medewan, and my spirit name is Eget Namzit, one that is determined, and I'm of the Deer Clan. And I'm here to talk about the story of the medicines, the seeds, the gifts from the Creator. We're going to have to, in order to understand where the seeds came from, you're going to have to start from the beginning. It'll come in the fifth fire of creation. That's when the Creator started seeding the universe, creating first the sun, moon, then the planets, and all those realms, the level of realms which we travel, our spirit travels. And in the middle of that realm, which we call in the language Debajehmujig, which is known as, in a loose term, heaven, where all relations go. And in there, the Creator created spirits to do the work. And some of those spirits created through his thoughts, created everything through his thoughts. Those gifts, mean go, those gifts. Then one of those gifts the Creator taught, mean cod, the spirits of the seeds. First one, of course, the four sacred medicines we call Sema, tobacco, Ishkanduk, cedar, Shkoderange, sage, Wingush, sweetgrass. All the seeds in spirit form, which we also call Shkikikaning, over there in that big lodge up there. We got. So the Creator created these seeds. He planted these seeds to create the whole universe. And the Creator also saw that, the need for these little seeds, those medicines we call Pshkikinstud. The medicines played these little, in spirit form, were crucial in creating some of these teachings for man to take down to earth, to live that good life. Wabadung, those four directions that had all the four grandfathers there, the stones. Wabadung east, Zhaonung south, and Gabianung to the west, Yodnung to the north. And then from the east you had Sema, south you had Ishkanduk, west Sage, Shkoderange, and north Wingush. So all those forming that circle. Atsukadan, they provided teachings. So they were in the spirit form and to help man teachings how to live, to go by daily life. Also, there was these, we also could call them clans too, the plant clans, the medicine clans, we could also call them Shkikinstud, along with the Debajehmujig. The animal clans were responsible for helping man in the final stages before he got lowered. But before that, all these seeds, and when they were created in spirit form, and at the same time, the Creator was so happy and joyful that what she created looked across the universe and cried. Those are tears of joy, how beautiful everything looked. Water, every planet went to cried of its beauty. Then he started seeing the relation how water is already there. And each of these planets, everything out there in the universe, started getting water. And when the Creator was out there in the star realm, noticed the animal kingdom in the stars, the planets. So it was each where you get the birds and all the animals, the creatures that walks on the earth. Birds are created in spirit form. So each of those bird answers to one of those seeds. And it was time for them to go down to earth. There was already earth there, soil, and water. Because that soil was ready to be nurtured for seeding. So each of the birds were lowered down to the earth to seed it. Medicines were all grown. So every single bird that flew down had one seed, and they answered to that one seed or to that one plant that was created. So in the medicines, all have one bird that works with it hand in hand. They're together. On. So all birds were lowered down, the chickadees and all of them, they have a plant they answer to. That seeded the whole earth, that life. And then shortly thereafter, animals came. And then eventually man came. So the first plant that was created in that spirit form, that leads all the plants, was Okamatik, that poplar tree. Perched on top of that, the Okamatik, Saswa, and then Okamabaneshi, perched on top of that. That's the thunderbird. So that's the story of how seeds were created from the thoughts of Gemado, the time of gifting, and how each of those plants has a bird it works with. And the seeding of our planet right now as we know it, and those medicines that work together. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little story again. There's just a small portion I talked about. It's a big story about creation, how each plant works with one another, the connection of the roots underground, how each communicate, and how everything is connected with everything. So this is just a little blurb I've talked about. And if you want to learn more, go out and search for the answers. Go visit an elder or go to ceremonies. Now, migoch.
Ani, Jacob Wemingos, das ist Kas, Wikwamkong, don't about. My name is Jacob Wemingos. I'm from Wikwamkong, and today I'm going to talk to you about the bean, and the word in Nishnabem, where it came from, like how it was put together. So I'll write it down, and we'll see. Sko. These men. Oh. So that's skodismen. So I think when I looked at this word, it kind of remind me of what it does. This one, beamsko. Beamsko. That's like the bean. When you put it down like that, it turns to grow like that, and then it develops a tail. So this is where all the vines start growing. So that's one is the DC, like DC, like a belly button, the umbilical cord, eh? And then the min, that talks about it being the seed. So it's a pretty good word that, like skudis min, that talks about, how and what it does. And, like one plant would feed, one person. But if you save all those seeds in there, you'll be able to feed a whole family, maybe even more. And so this is, like words that are put together and shortened right there. Sko. These. Min. It's pretty much like corn. We just say mda, min. But, it's the correct way of saying is manda, min. So mandamin. So nowadays it's just mandamin. So we shorten that too, like this mandamin, which means a miraculous seed. But this one is mainly like a. It's not red, psko, like it says here, psko. Although there are some red beans that, but this is where it came from, bimsko. Like when it described that, when they plant it, it turns around. We did an experiment on this before at school, when I was in school. And then we put the bean like this in a glass jar. So then the paper towel inside. And we put it against the glass jar where we could see it, and we poured water in there. And the paper towel absorbed all the water and brought it up. And then maybe 3 or 4 days later, that's when we noticed this coming out like that, eh? Then slowly it started to turn. Then that's, how I remember it. And, like, oh, that's bimsko ka. It turned by itself. And that dismin. So most of these words are really descriptive. Naha, migoch.
Ani, hi. What we have here is shkudis minnak, right here. Beans. That's a beautiful word, just like Jacob said there. And I also mentioned about the corn. Ndamin. Wow. 2 new words. That's pretty good. I known those words growing up, but I really appreciate the breakdown of our words and how they could tell stories, just like Brian has shared that beautiful story about Mikanens and the seed.
Yeah, I really like the story, really gets me in the mood of telling some nanobush stories sometimes. Just that real stoic look you have and just that real stoic voice you have when you're telling a real traditional story. I like that.
Yeah, sometimes we get into that historic thing, just like how the corn stays tall and straight and is the oldest sister that always looks forward and always makes sure she's standing up and being strong for her other 2 sisters, the bean and the squash, to make sure they grow good, and she protects them very well and holds them pretty well. So.
Yes. Well, we have one more video left here. We have the Wasno Dad Juniors again, and I guess we'll kick it over to them one last time.
Hi, we're Wasno Juniors, and here's our song for you.
Hey!
Oh, Chimigwech to my knee, Tyus Jesse and Adam Caboni of the Wasno De Juniors. It's so beautiful hearing that beautiful song. And that's going to close us off for this year's 10th annual Seed Swap celebration. It's so great to see everyone that was tuning in for this year's Seed Swap. And if you were too busy and you tuned in just now, tune back into what's happening later on today if you're too busy. But that's all I got to say is there's so much knowledge in this beautiful celebration. I'm just grateful that Daniel was here to help me host this beautiful seed swap.
You're welcome, Ashley. You're welcome. And I would also like to say, please check out our website, www.debaj.ca. And follow us on Facebook at Debajehmujig Storytellers. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Debajehmujig Storytellers, to see more upcoming events and other stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Miigwech,
Miigwech, Bamapi, guys, Bamapi.
I'll be here.
Yes, thank you.
Come on, Jiton Kanes, when we back up, Comares, we are, we are, we are, we are. Ani Eshkimajiging, it's not a shin when we go in. Kimajiga Pichiba, and we need question what Jesus. Nom da naning domin kosan, ma kwenda